good to have you all here in the 5th session of this Bhagavad Gita course that we are doing. And this is on the 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita. And we have already finished as the first topic, we finished karma. Second topic, we finished, I think, jiva. And then we have finished kala, right, which is time. So today we are going to talk about Prakriti, and tomorrow we will be seeing Ishvara, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Can everyone hear me clearly? Are you all with me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any questions, comments, something that you would like to add? Hi Srinidhi, welcome. Good morning, Jayant. Hare Krishna. There are no questions, then I'm happy to start over. A big thanks to everyone who has joined on time, before time. So we are on the basics of Bhagavad Gita course. A quick recap of Kala. Can some of you give me some takeaways from Kala, which is time, the topic that we discussed in the last class? You could unmute yourself and speak, or you could put it on the chat as well. Good morning, everybody. Wake up. What was your take home from Kala or time? How Kala is present only in the material world, it's not part of the spiritual world. How whether someone believes in God or not, still time is existent. If someone believes in time, then they believe naturally in God, because God in his form, it is his energy. Yeah, one of the energies of the Lord is Kala, which is time. And with this time factor, Jiva, the soul, is made to exist in Prakriti, in this material world, and performs actions and hence gets reactions, which is karma, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord, Ishvara. Yeah, this is the connection of all the 5 topics throughout Bhagavad Gita. Moving on, today we are going to look at some of the points from the point on Prakriti, which is the material energy. Yeah, Prakriti is the material energy. So what happens is basically when we see that the Jiva, the soul, wants to enjoy as the Lord and Master, at that time, there is a space that is given to the Jiva, which is the soul, and for that reason, the Lord produces or arranges for a separate space for that Jiva to enjoy as the Lord and Master, and that space is called Prakriti or the material energy. Yeah. So there is also the spiritual energy, right? So Prakriti in general is energy, and it can be differentiated as Para Prakriti, which is the superior, and Apara Prakriti, which is the material energy. So these are the 2 energies, and we're going to quickly run through both these energies. Sorry, just a moment. So, as I was saying, there is Apara Prakriti, Apara. Para means higher. When we say when we talk about words and its opposites, we always say complete, then we put in, and then we say incomplete, which is the opposite of it, right? So there is something that is existing, and when we negate it, we get the non-existent, right? Complete, we negate it, we get incomplete. Similarly, in Sanskrit, para means higher, and we negate it, apara, which means lower, yeah, or material energy. Not necessarily lower, because both of these energies are of the Lord's energy in itself. So it is just that the variation is about one being spiritual, where time doesn't exist, where people are in a different mode that they exist, not within the modes that are part of the material world, which is Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, which we are going to look at very shortly. So within the material energy in itself consists of 8 different elements. We know of the 5 basic elements, right? Can some of you give me the 5 elements, the basic elements? Okay, air, water, fire. Anybody who can unmute and give me the other 2? Ether. Okay, water, air, fire, earth, and ether. So there's earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Ether is the vacuum, right? So ethereal element, we say, right? So these are supposed to be the 5 major elements which are gross. Beyond this, there are 3 subtle elements which we don't see, right? Which are supposed to be mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are the subtle elements. Yeah, so then these are supposed to be the 8 elements which are consisted within this material world. Okay, and thank you so much, Durga and Sanjana. So basically, when we see this material energy is actually constituted, the material world is constituted of the material energy, but it is being sustained by the spiritual energy. So what's the spiritual energy? We were seeing in the past few classes that body is matter, right? Matter, material, but soul is spiritual, right? Spirit. Soul is the spirit, and that's why we are not able to see it with the eyes, which are material again, right? So then the souls who are wandering in different species of life, they are sustaining the material energy. All right. This one could be a little technical, so you can please ask me whenever you have doubts. Please don't wait till the end of the class. Stop me and ask anywhere where you feel you're stuck. Yeah. So if you see here, the beautiful picture that is given here, this is the entire universe. Yeah. So this is one universe. Like this, there are multiple universes. So if you see here, this is one universe, yeah? And then you see behind here a similar one more universe. Like this, there are millions of universes that are floating. Yeah. So then the person that you see here is Lord Brahma, who's the creator within this universe, this particular universe that we are living in. And here is Lord Shiva. Yeah, and we see Lord Vishnu here in this area. This is Prakriti personified, which is Durga. Durg means prison, fort. Yeah, Durga means one who is the protector, or the maintainer, or the one who is in charge of the fort. Nobody can enter or exit without Durga's vision, Durga's permission. Yeah, so she's called Durga, because she is the maintainer and the authority who takes care of that particular fort, which is this particular universe, Durga. Yeah. Moving on. So when we are in this universe, this one universe in Sanskrit, it's called Brahma Anda. Anda, naturally, I'm sure all of you know, it's called the egg, right? Anda. What kind of Anda? Brahmanda. Okay, it's called Brahmanda. It's shaped like a egg also. So the covering of the universe has 7 different layers, as you see here. We were just talking about it. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, goes on. So I'm sure you're able to see that here. These are the outer layers, which are in each one is 10 times thicker. The border of each one is 10 times thicker than the previous one here. Okay, so inside this egg, which is covered by the 7 layers, are the 14 planetary systems, which are placed right here, and we are sitting right at this place. You see here, it says you are here. Please excuse me, I should have probably brought a bigger picture of this. Maybe I can just expand this one. Just give me one moment. I hope that makes a little bit of a difference there. So where are we sitting? It says Bhur Loka, which is, we talked about this the last week, Bhur Bhuva Suvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam, right? The Gayatri mantra that generally people chant. So this is, you're here, which is the earth, Bhuloka. So from here starts the higher planetary systems, which are 7 of them. So that is Bhur, Bhuvar, Swargaloka, Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka. Satyaloka is the place of Lord Brahma, and he is on the top of the lotus. The rest of the planetary systems, according to the scriptures, are supposed to be within the stalk or the stem of this particular lotus, of which the topmost is Brahmaji's abode. And then comes the lower 7 planetary systems, which is Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Atala. And below this, so we think that these lower planets are supposed to be hell. No, these are higher planets, these are lower planets. There are also people who are good people. There are some even devotees like Bali who live in these lower planetary systems. And these lower planetary systems have as much opulence as the higher planets. Higher planets. And below these 14 planets, there are multiple levels of hellish planets where people are punished for what they did wrong. Right? And loads of details are given in the Garuda Puran about what sin, who goes to which hell, and what kind of punishment is given to them. So you see here on the side, it is higher planets, middle planets, lower planets, and if you see here, these are subtle and gross. We have both, and here this is gross. And then goes down the hellish planet. So this is one universe, right? So that's higher, middle, and lower planets, and external. So this is within the universe, and this universe is floating just like how other universes are also floating in the same waters. Yeah. So this is this is the Garbhodaka ocean, and this who's lying here is Garbhodakashai Vishnu. We all have heard that Lord Brahma comes from the lotus, which arises from the navel of Lord Vishnu. This is the Vishnu whose navel, if you see, the stem of this lotus is arising from the navel of Lord Vishnu, and within the of stalk of this particular lotus are all the 14 planetary systems. You see here in this white elephant, there is Indra. His elephant's name is Airavata. And going up there, the topmost on the flower of lotus is Lord Brahma. All right. So what happens with all these different people sitting in the different spaces, and how is this whole world maintained, right? So creation is basically done by Lord Brahma, and the maintenance is done by Lord Vishnu. This Vishnu so there are three types of Vishnu, which we are going to see later, but I'm going to talk just about this particular Vishnu here. He's called the Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. So in this picture we saw this particular Vishnu, his form is called Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Garbha, basically you would have heard quite a lot in the Hindi term. Garbha means the womb of the mother, where the child is begotten. So from the womb of this particular Garbha Udakashayi Vishnu comes Lord Brahma. He's born, Brahma appears from the Garbha of this Lord Vishnu. This Vishnu is Garbha Udakashayi Vishnu. Shayi means Shayana, lying down. So he's lying down on the Ananta, right? And in the Garbhodaka ocean. Then in each one of these which are created within this particular universe, Vishnu expands as Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, which is Kshira means milk. Because he lives in the milk ocean with Lakshmi Devi, he is called Kshira Udakashayi Vishnu. So this Vishnu is the Vishnu we are talking right here, who does the maintenance along with Lord Brahma, who is the creator, and Lord Shiva, who is given the authority of destruction. So when the world is created, the first creation starts from Lord Brahmaji, right? So when Lord Brahma is created from the Garbha of Lord Vishnu, that moment when he opens his eyes, and in fact he gets this particular position of being Brahma to create everybody, is a very, very, very significant position, and he achieves it by doing loads of great, wonderful deeds. He receives this particular position, and because of that, he's born from the navel of Lord Vishnu himself. Yeah, Lord Vishnu himself is his father. And then, so once he's born, he's wondering, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to create? So at that time, he looks around. There's only darkness because he's in the middle of the Garbhodaka ocean and he doesn't see anything. At that time, he hears from the waters of the Garbhodaka ocean two syllables, tha, pa. So when he keeps hearing it, it says tapa, 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 tapa. So he does tapasya. So the entire creation in itself started with the core element or the core effect of tapasya of the supreme creator, Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma starts meditating, tapasya, and after he does many, many, many years of the celestial years of tapasya, the Lord gets very pleased. He appears in front of him personally and he instructs him how to create the people, create the species within this particular material world. So there are loads of material universes, as I had mentioned. All of them come from the first Vishnu, is called the Maha Vishnu. So there are three types of Vishnus that we have spoken about, and these are the three types of Vishnus that the scriptures talk about. First Vishnu is called the Maha Vishnu, from whose breath, when he is breathing out, all the multiple Brahmandas, the universes that we talked about, all these Brahmandas are created when he is breathing out, right? And he is in Yoga Nidra. He's sleeping, he's lying down and sleeping in the causal ocean. And from there, he is the cause of all causes. So he creates all the universes. Within each one of those universe enters Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, from whose Garbha Brahmaji is born. And within each and every species that is created, Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, who is one of the three devas within the creation, maintenance, and destruction, he enters into each one of these species, whether it is an ant up to Lord Brahma. He enters as Paramatma, and he sits right next to the Jivatma, that is the soul, Jiva, that we were talking about, right? So the soul is Jivatma, and Paramatma is the Supreme Lord who's sitting there. And scriptures beautifully give example of two birds sitting on a tree, where one bird is constantly running around performing many activities. That is us, the super soul, which takes different bodies, and according to the bodies we perform our actions. And there is the other bird which is just sitting there as the witness, watching what we are doing and taking account of everything that's happening. Also, this particular Paramatma does talk to us, tell us this is right, this is wrong. Sometimes we also say, I was very intuitive that I shouldn't do this, which means the Lord sitting inside as Paramatma is telling us, be careful, you're going here, it's not good. But what happens is, many times the Jivatma is so loud, we even say, when parents do something which they ask the child not to do, but they do it themselves, the child is not able to hear what the parent is doing, but is able to only see the action of the parent. Similarly, when the Jivatma is so loud, the Jivatma is not able to hear or see the actions of the Paramatma, right? So when the Jivatma becomes a little lesser in its noise, then it is able to hear the Paramatma, read the scriptures, hear from people who are spiritually orientated, and is ready to get a higher taste, right? So all of this happens with the creation of Lord Brahma. Then Lord Vishnu decides that maintenance is the most difficult task. You just see in your own life, if you are really inspired by something, then you want to start it. But to finish it is so difficult. Gym fee. We pay the gym, we go to a gym, we want to really join. We've taken a vow that I'm going to reduce 15 kilos within next 3 months. So we go pay for 6 months, and then we go for a week, and after that, that's it, falls down, right? Like this, how many things? I want to take up a diet. That's another famous one, right? I want to take up a diet and I want to reduce weight, and then we follow it for a few days, and then we go back and we binge eat. After that, for that we become much more, we become fatter than what we were before. Like there's so many things we start something, but how difficult is it to maintain, right? Can some of you give me some more examples of what could be uh, those things that we really start, but maintaining is very difficult? Can you give me some more examples? Creation is simple, beginning is simple, but maintaining is very difficult. Have you noticed in your life? I gave two examples. Dieting. What else? Habit of reading daily. Yes, very good. Meditating regularly. Very good. Habits such as sleeping on time, waking up on time. Very good. Beautiful. Anything else? Okay. So, studying. What about studying? Have any of you felt studying is difficult and We all start, we promise ourselves, I want to really do this, and exam comes closer. Every time exam comes closer, we'll think, next time, as soon as exam is over, I will start studying, right? But then after the exam is over, like, it's okay, I want to enjoy. I just put in so much effort to study. How can I just immediately go? I will start 1 week later. That 1 week will never come till the time the next exam date is announced. Am I right? All right. How many of you would agree with me? I think most of you here are not part of school or university anymore. But those who are, I think you can connect with what I'm saying. Yeah, thank you. All right, so maintenance is a difficult business. So Lord Vishnu himself takes that on him and he manages it. And then Lord Shiva is awarded the most difficult job of destruction, right? So then, yeah. So now this Prakriti, which is created, initially Prakriti in itself does not have life in it, right? The life is provided by the Supreme Lord, right? So the energy is calm and quiet, is destroyed. When the destruction happens, everything, when I said Mahavishnu produces by his breath out, he's breathing out, all universes are created. And Brahma is created, he creates people, he creates everything. Like last week, how we saw the difference in time, right? So there is basic, we saw even the winged white ants we talked about who live for one evening, or the fireflies, and then we looked at ourselves comparatively. We live like our life is eternal. But when we compare it with the lives of demigods, it's much bigger for them. And the topmost planet where Brahmaji lives is much, much, much bigger, which is 311.04 trillion years, is how much Brahmaji lives. So that seems like true eternality, right? Immortal Brahmaji. So all of these are produced by the Lord's arrangement when the jiva wants to enjoy, right? Just like how a parent wants to give a naughty child a separate room to play when guests come in, or the mother has to, continue doing her chores at home, whatever, the child is left inside a room created by the parents, which is very convenient and comfortable for the child. Similarly, the Lord creates this world and allows the jivas which want to enjoy separately from the Lord, does not want to serve the Lord, and allows them to live in this world. But at the same time, the Lord is not impartial. The Lord is not angry that the child wants to have his own time. He's also taking care, constantly coming with that child, directing him, being inside as Paramatma, outside as our manual, which is Bhagavad Gita. So many scriptures, Puranas, Itihasas, also sending gurus, right? In so many ways, different representatives of the Lord that come in. And also the Lord accepts that you cannot just follow one religion. I will send different messengers of mine, different sons of mine to ensure that you are able to comfortably connect with me in whatever way you like. So Lord creates and sends messengers and his sons and so many over time immemorial, so that people can actually hear about and understand about God, right? So within this Prakriti, here we see that, as I said, this material world is temporary. Yeah. What do I mean by temporary world? All this earth, water, air, fire, ether. This is temporary. Yeah. But Prakriti in itself, the energy of the Lord, because it's the energy of the Lord, it is eternal. Energy is not destroyed, but the material world gets destroyed and reformed. How can we explain this? Very beautiful example is given in the Bhagavad Gita, that if you imagine a potter, and the mud that is required to make the pot. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking for that particular example in my book. Anyways, I'm not getting that particular example here right away. Yeah. So what happens is this Prakriti, or this material energy of the Lord, is like the mud. Okay, the clay that is required to form the different pots. Okay, what is a mud pot? Pot is innumerable material universes. Yeah, all these different universes that we just saw. We saw one universe, right, which is shaped like the egg. Like this, multiple universes are formed. So all these universes are like mud pots, which are created from the mud, which is the material energy of the Lord. And God is like the potter who creates all these mud pots. Yeah. So what happens? All these material universes get created from that particular energy by the Lord. And then when it is over, when the pot goes back into the, imagine the people use pots in India. If you have gone to Vrindavan or Rajasthan side, or even there's Jaipur and all of these places, you will see a huge use of mud pots. So you use it and you throw it. Nothing happens. It's not just keep getting collected like the plastic that we throw into the nature, right? It again goes back to nature. It's degradable very easily. It goes back to its element of mud again, right? Similarly, the material world is temporary. The mud pots, the different universes that are created, but the basic mud that is required is the eternal Prakriti. Is there something beyond this material world? That's the big question, right? Or is this the only one? So then, beyond the material world, there are the spiritual worlds, and they are called the different Vaikuntha planets, where there's unlimited spiritual planets. Imagine you have an entire pizza to eat. So if you cut a quarter of the pizza, in that the 3/4 pizza is left, right? That, just imagine that. So the 1/4 of that pizza that is cut is more like this material planet, and the rest of the 3/4 pizza is the spiritual planet. So imagine within this material planet, we are thinking ours is the only Earth, and this is the only solar system. But in the 1990s, there was a Hubble telescope that was created, because the telescopes that were used from within the Earth's atmosphere was restricting the telescopes from seeing beyond Earth's atmosphere very clearly. They were not able to zoom into and find out what was within further. So the invention of Hubble telescope helped them to launch it in the outer space, and from there look into what's happening beyond within the outer space. So when they were noticing what was happening, they zoomed into a star, and they realized that the star was an entire universe in itself within the star. What do we think? We think they are some small luminaries which are sitting on the sky, right? So they figured out that within that star there's an entire universe, and there are multiple planets. There are galaxies within it, and within the galaxies are planets. And they are all quite friendly for people to reside, different species to reside. That's what they figured out, right? So we think that spirituality should be a science. Yes, of course, spirituality is a science. Just like many of the science theories are still a theory, but we study, we believe, right? But fortunately for us, the spiritual science is more proven than technically the new inventions. So many of the scientists are inventing what is given already in the scriptures. Many of these things, whether it is about the mind or it is about the planets and how they are placed and everything, we are slowly and gradually inventing by creating newer and newer varieties of instruments and equipments, right? The spiritual world is already talking about all of this within these scriptures. So that's when they realize that, oh, when I thought that Earth was the only residable planet. That is not true. So they are still researching to find out more about how, just not Mars, how can we go to other stars and galaxies and find out planets where we could have alternate ways of living. Because if we exploit one Earth, hopefully we find another one so that the future generation can exploit the next one as well, right? So this is the material universe, and we are awestruck with just what is there, right? These little things. Wow, really? There's one more star. All these stars are all supposed to be different universes where we can actually find galaxies and planets inside. Yes, that's what scientists believe today. But scriptures are saying this from long back, right? This was not spoken after some scientists found out that there are multiple universes. This was spoken 5,000 years ago. Yeah. So then that's the material world, and we're still figuring out the material universe, material world, and we are not able to find out enough about it. What to speak of understanding the spiritual world? Yeah. So we can only understand the spiritual world from the scriptures given by the God himself, because he lives there, he has created it, and he is the source of all. Yeah. So the Lord gives beautiful explanations of how his dham is self-effulgent, and there are multiple varieties of Vaikuntha planets which are in the spiritual world, full of spiritual potency. There is no time factor which is restricting it. And there, people are always happy. People are full of knowledge because since they are on the topmost planet, what is there to be known more than that? Right? So the knowledge is also complete, and they are always serving the completely effulgent, knowledgeable Lord. So also, if they are not in full knowledge, it's not easy to serve the complete Lord, right? So they are living forever, they are eternal, they have all the knowledge, and they are full of happiness and bliss. So I already talked about, since we had to deal with this particular thing already there, I talked about the three Vishnus. So if you see here, this is one breath of Lord Vishnu, and here is Maha Vishnu. And he's living in he resides in the causal ocean, and he is in Yoga Nidra. As he breathes out, all the universes are formed. So you see here in one of the universe, this is Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. From his navel, if you will see, there is Lord Brahma that is created. And then Brahma starts creating within the single universe, and creation begins. So he produces. So there's an entire story, and not story. I'm sorry. There is an entire explanation of how creation happens, the primary creation, secondary creation, all of that given in Bhagavatam. So that's an interesting talk altogether for another day. So these are the three Vishnus. Maha Vishnu, he is also called the Karanodakashayi Vishnu because he is the Karana or reason and lies in the Karana ocean, causal ocean. Next is the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, whose Garbha or womb or from his navel comes Lord Brahma, and he is lying in the water that is created by the perspiration from his body. Please understand, his perspiration does not stink like ours. He's the Lord, and he's very different. And we should clearly understand that we should not be comparing ourselves with God. We are different from him. So if we are going to compare everything to understand God, if we are going to compare in every way, if I'm like this, God is like that. Of course, man is created in the form of God, something like that. I've heard some, a saying, man is created in the, can anyone help me with that? In image of God. Thank you. Yes, Shivani. Right? So, yes, we are created in the image of God, but it doesn't mean we may have all the qualities that the Lord has, but not in the quantity that he has. Right? Can we lie down in the causal ocean and create with a breath out? Would it be possible for us to create universes? That's not possible, right? So next is Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, who is the Paramatma, as I mentioned. Also, Kshirodakashayi Vishnu is the Vishnu who is in Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. He is the Vishnu who is also managing the maintenance of all these universes. Yeah. Next. So here is the Paramatma feature of the Lord, the super soul, the Kshiro, the Kashaya Vishnu that I was talking about. Right? So this Supreme Lord, Vishnu, is in our heart as Paramatma. Now, what is this material world that we are sitting in? We are going to get into a little more detail of this particular material world. So what happens here is, this beautiful explanation or comparison given to from the material world to the spider's web, right? Just like a spider spins its web, and after a while it winds itself back into itself. Have you known this? Before I read this, I didn't know the fact that the spider spins its web. Of course, I knew it spins its web, and the other detail I didn't know was its web comes from deep its abdomen. There are these secretory glands which secretes that web, and it comes from the deep depth of its abdomen, right? And from there the web comes out, and then the entire web is created. Yeah. So once it creates it, it also winds it back into itself. That's the ability of the spider. Similarly, the Supreme Lord creates the entire universe. When he is breathing out, everything is created, and when he is done breathing in, all the part of the world moves into itself. Next is, just like the spider traps many of these flies, right? They run, they fly around, and then they go get trapped on its own into this web. The jiva, the living entity, also because of the power of this material world or maya, we run around and we get stuck in this material world. And then what happens when these flies are trying to free themselves more and more, looking at, I want more freedom, I want more freedom, I want more freedom. So they are, jumping this way and that way to get out of that web, to get their freedom, right? At that time, they get more stuck. They become tightly bound. Similarly, when the Jivatma, the soul in this body, is trying in so many ways to get freedom. I want to be free. I want to be free. I want to be free. They're trying so many things. How can I be free? Can I just be intoxicated for some time and feel free? That's for very little time. Can I, take some weed, some drugs, and be free for some more time? Still, it's only temporary, right? And we only come back to a much more sad state, because that state every single time. Sorry, just one moment. All right. So, so then what happens is we want to try and get rid of this, and we want to get freedom. We get more and more and more bound by the stringent laws of material nature, right? So then how do we get free? Freedom is very simply possible only by the person who comes from outside, not another person who's stuck in this web, but a person from outside would come and release. Then the release is possible, and that outside person could be Bhagavad Gita, could be someone who just told you that, you know what, there's an interesting discussion going on about the 5 topics of Gita. Why don't you come and join over, right? That person also can help. And the guru, right, who is giving siksha or initiating one into the parampara, to understand more and more about We talked about the point of sambandha, right? The relationship of the soul, Jiva, with the Supreme Lord, right? So that person who is connecting and helping us to understand that relationship can help us get rid of this and get that true freedom, right? So then, how do we know we are actually stuck? We talk about freedom, freedom, freedom all the time, right? Who will free me? So we understand that someone from outside can only free us. Who's that outside person? To understand freedom, before we understand freedom, let's understand how we are stuck. Can some of you help me with this? What are the different moods or emotions you face in daily life? Okay, happiness, distress, anger, sad, feeling heavy, frustration, anxiety, very good. Feeling of helplessness. Do any of you feel angry? Okay, anger is given already. Happy, kind of lost. Yes. Okay, depressed, uncertainty, very good. All right. So these are the different moods that we are in, right? What sets this mood up for us? What sets this mood up for us, right? So the scriptures beautifully explain that there are something called the gunas. All right, there's something called guna. Guna also means robe. So there are three qualities of this material nature, Prakriti, which is the nature, the material nature, the energy of the Lord. She works with three different kinds of qualities, which is Sattva, Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. These are the three qualities. So how does this work? At different times of the day, like a puppet with Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna, we are working like a puppet, right? So is it that in the early mornings, if you see, it is beautifully explained in different parts of Gita, that early morning is a wonderful time for Sattva-guna. That is why we all love it when early morning, if we wake up and we are meditating, we are chanting, we are focusing on some kind of higher power, connecting to a higher power or the supreme, then early morning time when there is no noise, nobody to disturb, we feel very peaceful, right? That's supposed to be Sattva-guna. During the day, we have to get out there, earn money. So Rajoguna quite a lot works on mode of where we want, there's a lot of desire and hatred, right? I get this, I become greedy, I don't get it, I hate it, I'm angry, and I'm envious, I'm jealous that somebody else got it, I didn't get it. This is all part of Rajoguna because this develops from the mode of desire, right? Mode of desire. I desire, I want this, I get it, I don't get it, I'm happy, I'm sad, somebody else got it, I'm jealous, I got better than someone else, I'm proud, I'm pushing somebody down, I'm great, I'm beautiful, I'm ugly. So many things are just flowing in, right? This is all part of Rajoguna, and Rajoguna is quite given, shown during the day. And Tamoguna is when someone is lazy, and it is depicted by the night, right? So these are the different ropes. Okay, there can be rope of gold, there can be rope of silver, rope of iron. But imagine if someone is in a prison and they are bound by rope of silver, gold, or iron, does it matter? Right? So the question arises, am I a prisoner? Right? It's for all of us to wonder. Am I imprisoned? Can I go back and think if I'm able to control when I'm helpless? Am I able to come out of that shackle of helplessness? When I'm angry, am I able to get out of the shackle of anger and get into introspection or patient dealing with someone? when I'm bound by this shackle of impatience, intolerance, I can't just put up with this person, and that keeps running in my head all the time, right? I can't deal with this person. I can't look at them talk. I can't look at them smile. So there's intolerance of others. Are we able to control and let go of that shackle and break out of this prison? It's for all of us to wonder, right? And think about and ponder upon, right? So what happens is, it is not black or white, right? Let's consider the three primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. When you keep adding these different colors, they form a beautiful mix, right? When we mix red and yellow, you get a different color. When you mix yellow and blue, you get a different color. When you mix red and blue, you get a different color. When you mix red, yellow, and blue, you get a different color. Why am I talking about this in detail? Similarly, all these gunas also work in different ways. It is not black or white. Oh, I'm in total sattva guna now. Now I'm converting into Rajaguna. No, it's a shade. You see the shade of Rajaguna, Tamoguna, Satvaguna completely from morning to night in our actions. Especially in Kali Yuga, the more it progresses, there's only more disturbance. There's more disturbance, and hence there is more trouble to control ourselves, right? So we get more and more and more shackled, like how the fly is trying to get out of the spider web, but it's getting more and more stuck. The point is, we do the same, right? We think that by desiring for this, I'm going to get free. I get more money, I'm going to get free. No, we only get more shackled, right? Are all rich people happy people? Think about it, right? Not true. Are all happy people necessarily rich? That's also not true. If someone can be content with whatever they have, then yeah, it's not, contention comes from inside, right? Staying content. Nobody else can give it to us. So that a person, if they are not content with anything that they have at that point in time, can never be content with something that comes new into their life, because the nature of the person is to be sad. So how can something external make them happy? Even if they get something that they wanted, they will only look for something more which they don't have, right? So it's our nature. So there's a lot of contemplation that we need to do when it comes to these different natures and how it affects us, right? So then, yes, the three modes, completely, the three modes. So what is real freedom? How do I get out of this shackle and not have these shackles in my hands and legs and put myself down? I want to get out of all these three modes, right? So then we are wondering, really? I thought Sattvaguna, which is a mode of goodness, is wonderful. No. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunya Bhava Arjuna. He's saying there are three gunas by which you're shackled. What do you have to do? Go above the three gunas and come to Shuddha Sattva, where we are not really looking at something that is attaching us, because even in Sattva Guna, we are attached to certain things. Happiness, yeah, satisfaction. I want to be happy. And that happiness, that keeps me very satisfied in this material world. I want to live here. So then when we are in this world, then gradually we get again combined with other colors, and then different gunas again start affecting us, right? So since we understand, so there's a nice little table that is given for these three gunas. Hari, I'd be happy if you can just take a picture of this particular one, or just make one slide of this and post it on the Bhagavad Gita course group for people to see. So then, how do we unshackle ourselves? We have to understand that the Supreme Lord, I was talking about the person outside, the web is only capable of releasing us. So who's that person outside? It is the Lord, it's the Supreme Lord, it's Krishna who's outside these shackles. And he is showing us by different ways, right? By the person who's speaking to us about it, by the Bhagavad Gita that he is given in detail, by the different scriptures, Bhagavatam, and then keeping in association of those like-minded people, right? All of this put together can actually give us this freedom from this material world, right? So real freedom is to transcend the three modes, right? To break open this bondage of the three ropes, right? So this is practically impossible to do because the modes are very, 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 very powerful. They're very powerful. You get out of one, you're in another. You're not even conscious. Even in the subconscious level, you're moving from one to the other, right? So then, Krishna is giving us a way out. This is one of my favorite verses from the Bhagavad Gita. It says, Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya viratyaya mamevaye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. So Krishna is saying, Daivihi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. Duratyaya means very dangerous. Who's dangerous? Mama maya, my material energy. She's very dangerous, right? And she's really difficult for you to get rid of. So what do? Mame vaye prapadyante. Surrender unto the Supreme Lord. Mayam etam tarantite. Then you are sitting on a boat which will definitely take you across even the wildest of the storm that you can think of when it hits the sea. Because the person who's the captain of the ship is the spiritual master who understands the scriptures, who understands how this particular sea of material world is and how heavy the storm can hit, right? So when we are taking shelter of the Supreme Lord Krishna, it becomes so simple that we get a spiritual master who's going to be the captain. Then what's the trouble? Boat is given, captain is given, favorable winds are the scriptures, boat is this body. Yeah, the boat is supposed to be this body. When we utilize this body in surrendering to the Supreme Lord, then the soul which is sitting inside is that particular jiva, and the captain is the spiritual master. Favorable winds will happen, which is the scripture, and then for sure this boat will reach the destination. There's no two ways about it. Yeah, so that's how Krishna is explaining that we can get real freedom from the shackling of this material world. So quickly to conclude, we looked at what are the different kinds of energies of the Lord. Para, superior, and apara, inferior, material and spiritual energies, and how the universe is created. Within the universe, what are the different planets and where different people live, where do we live. And then we looked at who is maintaining, creating and destroying. And then we looked at within the material world, within Bhuloka, as Jiva, as the soul, what is our connection directly with Prakriti, right? It can be, we can talk about in the vastness of the material world and the spiritual worlds, but what is my connection with this Prakriti? That's what we looked at in the last few minutes, where we are controlled by the three modes, the three qualities that are present, which are in a huge grade of colors, right? They are in their different shades, and we do get completely, constantly bombarded by it. If we want to get real freedom from it, it's important to surrender and hear and chant the names of the Lord so that there can be more and more and more clarity. Because Krishna says, if one takes my name and they are tesham satata yuktanam, always satata yuktanam, bhajatam priti purvakam is glorifying me priti purvakam, with affection, with love. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. Many of us might wonder, how does this work? Literally, as a process, how does it work? This is how it works. First, we get interested, right? The little faith. Then we approach someone who knows about it. We get to know more about them. And then we take to the process of chanting and understanding from a guru. And from there, the faith increases. All the anarthas, these three modes which are actually causing us to, combine with our desires. There's our desires and then there are modes. All of this combination which is confusing us can be gotten rid of by chanting the names of the Lord, because the power of the names of the Lord are as good as the Lord Himself. And that's how we gradually clear the fog in our mind, and there is clarity to understand who I am, who the Lord is, what is my spiritual nature, how do I connect with Him, what is the process. So we get more and more and more clarity in the process, and ultimately we achieve freedom. There I finish. And there's an interesting Vedic personality test. So if you go, Haridas has already put it on the chat box. You just have to click. So basically, if you're interested, there is no hard and fast. If you're interested, you could just click on this particular site, go there. There are some few questions that you have to answer. It's multiple choice. What music you like, how happy you are, when are you happy, when are you not happy, so many of these things. So you just click on these multiple choice questions, and then you get to know which Vedic personality you are. So that will be an interesting activity for you today to understand the Vedic personality. Yeah. Any other questions, doubts that you have? Okay, I think I've gone beyond by 4 minutes already. Any thoughts? Any questions?
Mataji, yeah, good morning. The Vedic personalities that you just talked about, those are the three modes of material
Yes,
nature?
correct.
Okay, so Mataji, you said that everyone is sort of like a mixture of, the three modes, right?
Yes.
So, or is it like a specific sort of thing?
So see, this is just a technical thing that somebody has created. So you go there, you'll probably get to know further where you are. We can't really give a precise answer that, imagine they say Rajoguna. That doesn't mean that we are Rajogunis, completely passionate, right? Of course, we sleep in the night. We do have a little bit of Tamoguna. Some of us sleep more, which is a little more Tamoguna. These days, it could also be because of vitamin D deficiency. Some of us are working a lot during the day, so we need that extra sleep. So it's a mixture of everything. This is just to give you an awakening to understand, oh, there are different modes and I belong in one of these. So how do I actually make myself better to get to the Sattva-guna, so that once I get to Sattva-guna, it becomes easier for me to go beyond the three gunas, right? Just to awaken the dormant consciousness there. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Mataji, got it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, doubts? All right, so we end the class there today. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Tomorrow is the last class, and I really hope to meet all of you so that we can have a good discussion. Thanks, everybody. Hare Krishna.